You see the damage on the face of Anthony Pettis. And Wonderboy looking clean, but a big right hand, and Wonderboy's out. Anthony Showtime Pettis. Whoa! Oh my goodness! Oh, I can't. Showtime in Nashville at 170. Off the fence. He kicked off the fence. Through the overhand. Superman punch. Overhand punch. I don't even know what it was. What a wow.
What's going on, everybody? This is episode 62 of Combat Docket Radio. As always, Kurt and Ben are here to break down everything going on in the MMA world. What's going on this week, Ben?
Not a lot, man. Just another week, chilling. Got my dog next to me, hopefully quietly chewing on a bone, ready to talk about some MMA.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Up here in the Northeast, it's starting to get a little warm. I don't know. I don't trust it though, man. Said before, you live in the Northeast. Could snow one day and be like 80 degrees the next day. But I'm enjoying it. Still cold where you are?
It's warming up, and actually, I actually, it's not a normal week because I'm very pumped about the real start of baseball this week. Opening day is on Thursday, tomorrow, as we record this. So I'm pretty pumped about that.
Yeah, I am too, man. I love baseball season.
I'm very anti-Red Sox, but the Royals, my team, might be the worst team in baseball this year. So that's fun to look forward to.
Yeah, that's no fun. No fun. Anyways, we do have a lot of MMA to talk about. Let's start with the fights that happened this past weekend. Live from Nashville, Tennessee. Anthony Pettis. Man, I should have stayed. You kind of talked me out of I was going to pick Pettis, and you kind of talked me out of it. And I went with Thompson. And I'm not happy about it, man. I was picking Pettis solely because I wanted him to win. And I actually thought, like we talked about, it was a pretty good style matchup for him. You know, Thompson wasn't going to be a guy that would try to take him down and, grind him out. But definitely didn't expect Pettis to be the guy to knock Thompson out. Stephen Thompson has fought some killers in that division. He's also, Stephen Thompson's knocked out the current UFC middleweight champion. Been in there with Darren Till, Masvidal, Tyron Woodley, Rory McDonald, go down the list. And guy that made weight at 45 and fought for that title, knocked him out. Pettis gets it done with a Superman punch off the cage in perfect Pettis style. Pretty shocking, honestly. Happy for Pettis. Kind of sad that it had to come at the expense of a great guy like Stephen Thompson, though. Yeah,
my immediate thought when I saw Anthony Pettis melt Wonderboy was shocked. But then I also thought, man, I remember when I talked Kurt out of picking Pettis in this pretty big upset. Like it was over plus 300, I believe. And yeah, I mean, it's shocking for a variety of reasons. The size difference, the fact that Tyron Woodley, who is, I think, probably one of the hardest welterweight punchers like of all time, landed like multiple hard right hands on Thompson and couldn't get him out of there. And then, yeah, you got Pettis, who is kind of known as a knockout artist, but he's more so with his legs, and he's more likely to like drop a guy and then submit them. You know, you don't think of Pettis as this like power puncher, but I think props to Pettis. I rewatched the fight recently with fresh eyes, and he did a little bit better than I expected, or than I thought. When I was watching the fight the first time, I thought Wonderboy was really piecing him up, and he kind of was. He was landing, a good jab, kicks to the body, side kicks to the body, kind of oblique kicks to the legs. Pettis was certainly losing that fight, but watching it a second time, knowing how it ends, you see kind of the work that Pettis is putting in with leg kicks to Wonderboy. And I don't know if those affected him at all, but he was certainly, Pettis was investing in leg kicks early, and he was definitely looking to counter Thompson's kicks as well as his strikes. Pettis not a great counter puncher, but it's always going to be there against Wonderboy, who holds his hands pretty low, chin kind of up in the air. And then, yeah, that punch, man, it was shocking the way it turned his lights off. But I think credit to Pettis, there was nothing lucky about that. He knew that he had to move inside of Thompson's range, and a Superman punch is a great way to do that. And I assume it was just a absolutely perfect punch to shut his lights off like that.
Yeah, I mean, Thompson said as much. He said, kind of crap happens, I think, in those exact words. Hit him right in the button, hit him in the right spot. And I'm with you, man. I think Thompson was definitely in control of that fight, but I don't think it was as one-sided as a lot of people are saying. I mean, he was definitely getting the better of Pettis, but Pettis was definitely in it. And yeah, I mean, they just timed it perfect, hit it perfect. And it just felt like Anthony Pettis. Now, Pettis is tough to get a read on at this point. I mean, Pettis looks so good in a couple of his fights where I actually picked him over Tony Ferguson. So, I mean, he's still there. He had that great win over Michael Chiesa. I thought he was definitely in the Ferguson fight. He was in the Poirier fight. He's been real hit or miss lately, but I just don't know where he goes from here. Like, I don't think he is, in striking distance of a title, especially not at 55. That division's stacked. You have no idea what's going on at 170. Is he just the guy that is going to be? Is he like I guess you kind of say like a top level gatekeeper, or is he just going to be in fun fights? Is he going to be in the title picture? Like, I really don't know where he stands right now, because I can't even say a gatekeeper because he's not fighting like any young guns. But I feel like he could slide into that role eventually. I have no idea where he goes from here, and especially not with a win like this. Like going up to 170, fighting Stephen Thompson. I have no idea, man.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, I think he could have a role in a job as like an elite level, a gatekeeper to the top 5 at either 155 or even 170. But I don't know if that's what he wants to do. He's now ranked with that one win. He's now ranked number 8 at welterweight. And I don't know. I get the sense he probably wants to stay at welterweight just because there's more options there. Even in victory here, I think he didn't look very big at all. It's not like he looked fat or anything, but he didn't look like. I think it's going to take some time if he wants to stay at welterweight. I think he needs to take a little bit more time to, add some muscle, add some size. I'm not saying he looked bad at all, but he also didn't look like at his optimal weight, I should say. Usually at 155, he looks like he's pretty shredded. So I don't know what's next. I assuming he stays at 170, 170 is getting interesting now. We got Ponzinibbio out there.
Yeah, let me ask you this. Did he jump Ponzinibbio?
In the rankings he did, but I think
see that is so crazy that he jumped Ponzinibbio, who is on a fucking tear. That's why these UFC rankings are so broken. I mean, great win. He beat the guy that was number 1, but that was his first fight at 170. You can't jump a guy like Ponzinibbio that's been on a tear. That arguably is one win away from a title shot?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think official rankings wise, he is above Ponzinibbio. And actually, to show you how ridiculous the rankings are, he's also below Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. So that doesn't make any sense, even though he just beat him. But yeah, I mean, I think anybody who has been following the division sees Ponzinibbio as one of the top 2-3 contenders to the title right now. But I don't know. What if they do Pettis Ponzinibbio? That kind of feels like that doesn't move Ponzinibbio forward at all.
No, that's a no-win for Ponzinibbio. I mean, Pettis still has a name, definitely, but that would be a good fight, though. But yeah, I think Ponzinibbio has to have his sights set higher than Anthony Pettis at this point.
Yeah, the issue is if you give Pettis a contender at 170, a guy like Ponzinibbio or Masvidal, like he doesn't move any of those guys forward in the division, even though he is a name. Like a win over Anthony Pettis at 170 should not get you a title shot.
Right. Yeah, we can't even view Pettis, I don't think, as a 170 pounder at this point. I mean, he has one win, one fight at 170. Yes, a great win over a former title challenger, but it's one fight, one win. Yeah, I agree, man. Like I said, I have no read on really what he wants to do or what they want to do with him. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's always going to be in fun fights. I'm fine, honestly, with just like either he plays elite level gatekeeper role or they just put him in fun fights. I know he probably thinks he can make another run at 170, and maybe he can, but I'm fine with like not just putting Anthony Pettis in fun fights. Even if that's a fight that doesn't necessarily move somebody else or him up the ladder.
I mean, he still only is 32 years old, so definitely still has time. Although, like we talked about last week, and if you just look at his record, you could see, I mean, that guy's been in some wars. He's fought the best of the best for so many years. Yeah, I'm with it though, man. Just fun fights. Keep him in those. Stephen Thompson, got a feel for him. That guy's he's like the nicest guy ever. Tyron Woodley finally relinquished the belt. This kind of felt like for Thompson, probably the end of him, in that title picture. He's not getting any younger. He's 37 years old, 36 years old. With Usman getting hold of that belt, there is a window for him to probably get in that title picture, and Pettis probably ended that. So I feel for Thompson.
Yeah, and his reaction, if people have been on the internet, his reaction to getting knocked out, just being like, "Oh, golly jeepers, stuff happens," is pretty funny. I don't know. I mean, yeah, he's old, and he's old for a welterweight, I should say, not for Earth. But I don't know. Like I said, he was super durable against Woodley, pretty durable against Till. But yeah, you look at his age and you think maybe he's set for a sharp decline. And the way that he got, his lights shut out here, I don't know. This might be sometimes when a guy's chin gets cracked, I feel like they're kind of, it's cracked for good after that. I don't know if that's necessarily the case with Thompson yet, but I don't know where he goes from here. But yeah, I think his days challenging for a title are pretty much done.
It's just the logjam too at 170. I mean, you got to look. We have no idea who Usman's going to fight. Is it going to be Colby? It should be Colby. I mean, you still have Woodley up there. You have Askren. You have Masvidal. You have Ponzinibbio. There's just a long line right now, and there's not a lot of clarity. I feel like we're a broken record saying this about 170, but you just have no idea what they're going to do, and a loss kind of puts you at the back end of that, especially when you've already lost in title fights. Man, it's going to be a steep road for Stephen Wonderboy Thompson to get back up there.
Yeah. But I don't see him. Honestly, he seems like the type of guy that's going to retire in the UFC. He's not going to drag out his career forever.
So definitely not.
So I wouldn't be surprised if he just takes, I don't know how many fights are left on his contract. I wouldn't be surprised if he just takes a few more fights, win or lose, and then calls it a day. Cause he's getting up there in years. He seems pretty well set, otherwise outside of fighting, he seems pretty happy. So I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I think it's probably the end of the road for him challenging for a title.
Agreed, man. Co-main event, Curtis Blades did what he does. Whitewashing Justin Willis, not even close. Blades arguably has the best wrestling at heavyweight. I mean, especially the way he uses it. Super fluid, athletic for his size. Gets a much needed win after a rough go about it recently. I guess I shouldn't say his only loss was to Francis Ngannou. I was thinking he had 2 losses in a row. But anyways, he gets a big win. Keeps himself in that mix at the top of the division.
Yeah, I think you said it best. He did what he does. Not the most exciting win, and not necessarily a win that's going to give him a ton of fans. But Justin Willis is a huge guy, even for heavyweight. I understand he cuts weight to get to 265. And Blades knew that he had to get a win here. So kind of a conservative, super wrestling heavy game plan, but he didn't want to be facing 2 wins in a row and be kind of written off as a heavyweight contender. And he's like a baby for heavyweight. I think he's 28, which is so young for that division. Still has a future in front of him. Last week I compared him to Stipe Miocic. That's still a possibility. He wins 2 more fights in a row at a heavyweight. It's hard to see him not challenging for a title.
Yeah. Any ideas where he goes from here? Could it be a Stipe fight?
I think Stipe makes the most sense. That's the fight. Personally, for me, heavyweight feels clear. I want to see well, other than what happens for the actual belt, because Brock Lesnar might be involved there. I've heard rumors of John Jones moving up, but personally, I'd like to see JDS fight Ngannou and Stipe fight Curtis Blades. And that takes care of the 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the division. Obviously, the belt is kind of, we don't know what's happening with that, but those fights seem clear to me.
Yeah, man, I'm with that 100%. I think it makes the most sense. Like you said, I mean, the mean age of that division is like 46 years old. Blades is like the anomaly at 28 years old. So, yeah, use him while you can. I like Stipe. Blades makes a lot of sense. Ngannou, JDS would be an absolute barn burner. And after that, I mean, you know, who knows? But those are clearly the top 4 guys. Let's do it.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm all for keep pushing Blades, because if you look at the rankings right now, it's outside of Blades and Ngannou, it's a lot of former champions and aging heavyweights. So push these guys, give them difficult fights, but keep them around the top of the division.
Yeah, the only other guy in that mix that, you know, you could probably push that's not a former champ is Tuivasa. But again, he's coming off that loss to JDS. Does he have a fight scheduled yet?
I don't think so. I think he wants to fight Justin Willis, but I'm not sure.
Oh. Well, then he's kind of picking up the scraps, so I don't know, whatever. He's another guy to keep your eye on.
Yeah.
John Makdessi gets a win over Jesus Pinedo. We talked about this one last week. Jussier Formiga gets a big win over Davison Figueiredo. I mean, man, I feel for Formiga because it's like he finally is on that streak that he needs. It finally seems like, you know, maybe outside of Benavidez, like he's the guy. He's on a 4-fight win streak. He's got some big wins in there. Feels like it's finally his time to get a title shot. And who knows what's happening with that division. So I feel for him. It was a big fight that, I mean, nobody's calling it a big fight. Like, we have no idea what's going on with that flyweight division with the flyweight title, man. I feel for me.
I mean, if they're keeping the division around, it feels like he is a pretty clear-cut contender. But, you know, we talked about it last week. It kind of feels like a missed opportunity for the UFC here. This could have been a big fight. They could have built it up as a contender fight. But they didn't. And it was just kind of another fight, even though these are 2 of the best flyweights in the world. And yeah, props to Formiga. I mean, I did not expect him to out-grapple Figueiredo like that so easily, because Figueiredo is fucking huge for flyweight. A guy, if they do close the division, you have to assume Davison Figueiredo moves up to 135. But Formiga, I mean, he's still 15-1. But yeah, Formiga just totally controlled him on the mat. I was very surprised by that.
Yeah, same. And it seems as though, according to Dana White, and again, take whatever Dana White says with a grain of salt, but they are looking at doing Marlon Moraes versus Henry Cejudo for the 135-pound title. I would imagine that that's going to signal the end for the flyweights. Again, I mean, you have a built-in storyline with Joe Benavidez, Henry Cejudo. Why not just, I don't know. It makes no sense. But again, Aljamain Sterling, Pedro Munoz, either one of them versus Marlon Moraes. Let Henry at least defend the belt. He hasn't even defended the belt. Let him defend the belt 1 or 2 times. Figure out what you're going to do, and then let him move up. I don't know. It's stupid. It makes no sense.
And there's even, I mean, Formiga lost to Cejudo by split decision in 2015. So it's not that there's beef there necessarily, but like it's a fight I wouldn't mind seeing them run back.
Because, like, my thing is, and I'm like, we'll bring it back to this card in 1 second, but, like, I just don't know, like, okay, so let's say Cejudo goes in and gets beat by Marlon Moraes, which I would pick. Do they just keep do they go back, if Cejudo loses, it's like, all right, well, he lost, so we're going to keep the flyweights around, you know, or are they going to make the call to end the flyweight division before? Like, I just don't know what they're doing. It just makes no sense. Like, if he's going to move up, let's get rid of the flyweight division. Let's stop keeping these guys in limbo and make him move up 100%. I don't want to see him lose and then be like, all right, now we're going to go back to the flyweights. He's still the champion. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely.
And I think this gets to kind of, I sound like a broken record now too, but kind of the beef that I think both of us have with the way the UFC is running things right now is that if they had clarity to what the next moves were, fans would be more invested. If they knew, all right, this fight is going to lead here, this fight's going to lead here, this guy's going to challenge for this title. If you knew what was going to happen next, I would care more about the fights I'm watching because I know what's coming next. But instead, we got a super important high-level flyweight fight here, and it's just another fight with no meaning whatsoever because nobody knows what's going on. So it's not just like the UFC sucks at messaging, it's that they're not giving out any message to fans as to what to expect. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not a fan of Cejudo moving up and challenging Marlon Moraes for an interim title or even if it's his own title. I don't know, but I don't know. There's fights to make at flyweight now. There's no reason to close the division.
Yeah, man, I have no idea what they're going to do, but I just hope they figure it out soon. I don't know. No idea. But anyways, so that was a big win for Formiga. I hope it works out for him because he is deserving of a title shot. I would feel bad if he got right there and then they closed the division and now he's in, he has to move up to 35, where honestly he's probably not going to crack the top 5 at 35. As good of a fighter as he is, there's some killers up there, some big guys up there. I just don't think he's going to crack that top 5 up there.
I agree. 135 is so strong right now, and just a grappling heavy jiu-jitsu guy is not going to do super great at 135, I think, but who knows?
All right, what else do you have from this card? We can go over a couple things before we move on here and there.
Macy Barber, who she's only 7-0 now. She's only had 7 pro fights at is a flyweight. I was impressed with her. She beat JJ Aldrich. And I think the biggest, not necessarily, I'm not super blown away by Macy Barber's skills. But we did see her tested. We saw her get dropped in the first round here and came back and won the fight by stoppage in the second. So I think Macy Barber is definitely somebody to watch out for. That was kind of my biggest takeaway other than the top 2 fights. Somebody to watch for. And it was a good sign that she was able to come back from adversity.
Yeah, I was impressed with her, man. I thought she looked good. I know there's been a lot of talk about Luis Pena, Violent Bob Ross. Didn't he come out and say he can make 135 and then he missed weight at 45? He's 6'3". Probably shouldn't be at 45, let alone 35. But he gets a pretty dominant win. Bryce Mitchell too. Bryce Mitchell's fun. He's I know he's campaigning for some camo shorts. A lot of people are getting behind camo Reebok shorts, so that's fun. I don't know. Other than that, there was some fun fights on this card. Random Marcos gets a big win. Marlon Vera is always fun. Yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah. The only other thing I'll say, because I am a fan of Bryce Mitchell, because I grew up in Southeast Kansas, close to Arkansas. Bryce Mitchell is 100% Arkansas. He is so much the type of person from that area, and I'm glad that he is so proud to be from a small town in Arkansas and just owning his personality to the max.
Yeah, man, I love it.
Yeah, really. I mean, he's obviously a good fight. He's 11-0 and just got another win in the UFC. I'm not saying he's going to be a perennial top 10 guy or anything like that, but he kind of strikes me as a Arkansas Jason Knight type of fighter. Somebody that everybody will love to watch.
Yeah, I agree, man. Fun to watch. Hopefully they get him some camo shorts. Go Arkansas. All right, moving on. I think it's safe to say March 30th, 2019, we can close up the Fight of the Year ballot. Unless I'm completely wrong about this, which I highly doubt I am, unless there's a flash knockout right at the beginning. But man, we get Justin Gaethje versus Edson Barboza. 2 of the toughest SOBs on the planet. I mean, honestly, these 2 guys can probably be in the top 5 toughest gentlemen in MMA. These are 2 rough, tough customers. I mean, you've seen Gaethje in some wars. I mean, with Gaethje, you've never seen him not in a war. Whether he's fighting a scrub or the top of the division, the guy gets hit, he gets tired, and he never will take a step back. Barboza, I mean, you've seen him take and dish out some hellacious beatings, and he's always in it. He's always fun. He gets hurt. He comes back. What fucking matchmaking. I mean, the leg kicks are going to be gruesome to watch. Gaethje actually said he wanted to knock Barboza out with leg kicks, and I guarantee you he will try that. Barboza is one of the best leg kickers in the game, if not the best. Dude, I love everything about this fight. I cannot wait.
Yeah, I'm with you. And it's a fight that not only is it one that's super exciting for all the reasons you just described, but it's also like it makes sense. Both guys are coming off a win after 2 consecutive losses. It's a fight that makes a lot of sense in the lightweight division. So yeah, I mean, I'm pumped. The battle of leg kicks is awesome. Great fight. I don't know who you're going with here. I'm going with Gaethje. Just because I don't want to say the book is entirely written on Barboza, but Kevin Lee and Khabib were able to just pressure him. And obviously Gaethje's not going to go for a takedown, but he will pressure heavy. And Gaethje will put his opponent up against the fence and clinch with them and throw leg kicks from the clinch, which is one of my favorite techniques ever, where you're actually connected to the person and throwing a leg kick at the same time. I see Gaethje moving forward. He has better defense than I think people give him credit for. He has better head movement than people give him credit for. I just see Gaethje wearing out Barboza after about 7 or 8 minutes of forcing Barboza on the back foot. And, Barboza is, I think, for my money, the best like overall kicker in all of MMA right now. Just leg kicks, body kicks, head kicks, spin kicks, whatever. I think Barboza has it. But his issue is always that he needs to have space or be moving forward to throw those kicks. And if the book is not entirely written on Barboza, the book on Gaethje is totally written. And he's going to move forward. He's going to pressure. He's going to defend more strikes than I think people give him credit for, and just break the other guy. And not that Barboza can get broken mentally, but he has these kind of technical flaws or openings in his game that I see Barboza capitalizing on. I think Barboza gets a finish here in like maybe the 4th round. I think this is a phenomenal fight. It's hard for me to see this going badly. So I got Gaethje by a late stoppage. The big thing, and maybe you're going to bring this up too, is Gaethje's been hurt to the body quite a bit lately. So I expect Barboza to throw quite a bit of body kicks, but Barboza doesn't really throw like teep kicks or kicks up the middle. So he still needs space to throw round kicks to the body, and I think Gaethje will take away that space.
Yeah, I will never pick against Justin Gaethje ever. Love that man. Always loved him. Been a big fan of his for a long time. I think he hit the nail on the head, man. I think Barboza, for as good as he is, his kryptonite is a fighter like Gaethje. When you close the distance and you can move in on him and he doesn't have his range and he has to fight off the back foot, I think that's when he struggles. If you give him space to work and start throwing those leg kicks and get his kicks going, he's phenomenal. But Justin Gaethje, I just can't see him doing that against. Gaethje's going to move forward. Like you said, he's going to put him against the cage. He's going to throw. Gaethje creates a lot of power at those leg kicks he throws from close distances. He's got great uppercuts, great clinch work, and he just has the ability to move forward when he's tired. So I'm with you, man. I think after 7-8 minutes of Gaethje just moving forward, I think he's going to get Barboza tired. I mean, I think they're both going to be tired, but man, I think Gaethje's going to be able to push through a little bit better. I see him stopping Barboza as well, but don't count out Barboza being tired to land something crazy. I mean, you remember that Kevin Lee fight. He came pretty damn close to stopping Kevin Lee after being dead tired. I mean, he had Kevin Lee on the stanky leg. I mean, even the Dan Hooker fight, he was gassed, and he was still able to get shots off. I mean, yeah, Gaethje's always there to be hit. Barboza, if he can get some space to rip those round kicks to the body, they're going to hurt. My thing is with the leg kicks, I think it's going to be really interesting because Barboza can check leg kicks. Gaethje does not check leg kicks. So it's going to be interesting if Barboza does, or actually, I guess for both of them, who wilts first from the leg kicks, because they're both going to be throwing them. Gaethje said he wants to knock him out with leg kicks, so he's going to do that, man. And honestly, like, my friend brought this up to me the other day. Like, if there was one fight for Gaethje to kind of start changing to a slightly smarter game plan, it would probably be this fight. But I just can't see him doing it. That's just not in Gaethje's nature. So I'm with you, man. I think Gaethje stops him in the 7th, 8th, or at least gets him tired and headed towards the finish in like the 8th minute. But man, don't count it out for Barboza to be done, dead tired, and land something crazy and either knock Gaethje out, knock him down. And this is going to be a wild fight, man. We're going to be on the edge of our seats for however long it lasts, and I can't wait.
Yeah. And on the leg kicks, I 100% agree with you that, Barboza is probably a better defender of leg kicks. I think the issue here is that Gaethje will spend more time in a position to throw leg kicks because Gaethje will most likely be the one moving forward, as well as like when they're in super close, Gaethje throws leg kicks there. And I'm sure Barboza can, but that's just not something we've seen him do. And then, yeah, you also like, we kind of allude to maybe Gaethje will start using his wrestling. I don't know if he'll take Barboza down, but he does like to put guys against the fence and do work there. And I think that's probably what he wants to do here is not give Barboza any space, put him against the fence. He'll clinch against the fence, like just to keep the guy stationary, and then he'll unload leg kicks or punches against the cage. But I think you got to assume Gaethje's game plan here, well, it's always to move forward, but I think here especially he wants to really tie up Barboza against the cage.
Another thing to keep an eye on too that is going to I would say help Barboza in this fight is his use of the jab. He has a great jab. And he's got the length to really keep Gaethje on the end of his jab. So that could be interesting to see how Gaethje reacts to that and how long Barboza can keep that up for, keeping Gaethje off him. Because like we said, Gaethje is moving forward that whole time. So a lot of intrigue in this fight. A lot of things to keep an eye on, man. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I'm pumped. And when this fight was announced, I strongly considered going out to Philadelphia for it. Maybe if I come into a bunch of money in the next couple of days, I'll fly out in the last minute. But man, it was like anytime there's a Justin Gaethje fight announced, I consider going to it. And there can't be that many more, so I should probably jump on it pretty soon.
Yeah, I agree, man. That'd be fun. Co-main event, David Branch taking on Jack Hermansson. Bit of a step down for Branch coming off that, I won't say shocking loss, but definitely not expected loss to Jared Cannonier. Jack Hermansson, definitely not at the top of the division, but a tough fighter in his own right. I don't know where to see Branch at this point. He felt like he, obviously his journey back to the UFC was pretty storied. He had a great run in World Series of Fighting, was the double champ. He got put into a big fight with Luke Rockhold that did not go his way. So I don't know. Definitely a win that he needs here against Hermansson. And they both actually knocked out their second to last fight. They both, never mind. Hermansson got knocked out by Thiago Santos. Dave Branch beat Thiago Santos. Didn't he knock Thiago Santos out too?
He got on top, right?
I'm kind of rambling here, but I'm just kind of looking at their records. He did stop Thiago Santos. So I don't know, man. I feel like this is Branch's fight to lose. I feel like he's, not to knock Jack Hermansson, but I think Branch is the more skilled fighter. He's got more upside. Obviously not a gimme, but I think this is one where they're expecting.
Man, I don't know how much. Well, I agree that I think Branch is the more skilled fighter. Really, he's a really good, legit black belt. Good wrestling, decent striking. I think the issue here is Branch did not, the knockout to Jared Cannonier is not good. The way he kind of wilted against Luke Rockhold was not good. What Hermansson does have going for him is maybe some of the best ground and pound in the division. When Hermansson gets on top, and he's a good wrestler, but I believe a Greco-Roman background. He's not a phenomenal takedown artist, but if Hermansson can get on top here, Dave Branch is in trouble. Anybody that's underneath Jack Hermansson is in trouble because his ground and pound is just ferocious. This is a hard fight for me to pick. I'm not so confident in David Branch at 37 years old that he'll hold up well against a really physical young guy in Hermansson. Hermansson's 30, so he's really in his prime. I don't know, man. It's a hard fight to pick. I think I'm actually going to go with Hermanson, maybe by decision here, just because I think if he can get on top, he's really gonna put in work on David Branch and wear him out. But who knows? Don't never count out David Branch just based on his skill set, which is very deep at this point in his career.
Yeah, I guess maybe I'm sleeping on Hermanson a little bit. He is a stud. He's a big dude too. No, I'm going David Branch. I think David Branch is still the better fighter. As good as Hermanson is, I have Branch. I'll go Branch decision. I think he's going to be able to get on top of Hermanson a little bit more and kind of use his veteran savvy to grind out a win here.
Yeah, I'm with that. I do think that a lot of this fight will depend on who wins the wrestling.
Yeah, 100% agree. Josh Emmett's returning to take on Michael Johnson. That should be a fun one. Johnson, man. That's the dude, man. He is doesn't win every fight, but takes fights against the best in the division, and he's always in them. I mean, he's got some big wins. He's beaten Tony Ferguson. He's beaten Edson Barboza. He's beaten Dustin Poirier, and he's also lost a bunch. This should be a fun one. You know, I think I kind of said this a few times with people lately, but I don't really know where. Like, so Josh Emmett, I don't know if he is closer to the top of the division or closer to the middle of the division, because his stock got really blown up after he knocked out Ricardo Lamas on short notice, missing weight, and then he was stopped by Jeremy Stephens in his next fight. Again, I don't know if he's closer to, mid-pack or he's closer to the top. This is definitely one that is going to tell us a lot about where Josh Emmett is, because again, Michael Johnson doesn't win them all, but he always fights the best people, and he's beat some of them, and his style is really, really tricky to deal with. Great striker from that southpaw stance. He has a great jab, mixes his punches up well, and he's got surprisingly good wrestling as well.
Yeah, I think, well, at first blush, these guys both kind of fight similar, that they're super heavy-handed, kind of big power punchers. If Michael Johnson can stay disciplined here, I think he's the more skilled boxer. He has a better jab, even from southpaw stance. He has a better jab. He counters super heavy. So does Josh Emmett. They both throw super heavy counter strikes, and that's kind of what they look to do. But if Michael Johnson can stay within himself and not kind of get involved in extended exchanges, this feels like Michael Johnson's fight to lose. But he has 13 losses. Michael Johnson sometimes kind of fights outside of himself, outside of his skill set. But I like Johnson here. It should be a banger. I'd be surprised if this goes all 3 rounds, just because both these guys throw such heavy leather. But sleeper fight of the night. I mean, the main event has got to be your fight of the night, I assume. But if for whatever reason that fight does not deliver, this fight definitely should.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be a fun fight, and I favor Johnson here. I think Johnson gets it done. But I'm with you. I don't think it goes all 3 rounds. I think I could see Johnson stopping him maybe second or third round. I think he's just a trickier striker, and he does have big power, like you said.
Yeah, for sure. But tons of power from both these guys.
Yeah, man. Agreed. Last big one on the card for me is probably the battle of the 2 friendliest looking women on the planet. Carolina Kowalkiewicz taking on Michelle Waterson. I'll be sad to see either of these ladies get beat up, but nonetheless, it is a big fight in the division. Waterson's on a 2-fight win streak. She's looked good lately. I mean, she always looks good. Carolina's coming off that bad loss to Jessica Andrade. That was just a bad matchup for Carolina, because Carolina, to me, she's a very patient fighter. She got good counters. She likes to work at her own pace, and you just can't have a pace against Andrade. She's a little buzzsaw. She moves forward and she blew through Kowalkiewicz. So I think this is a bit more manageable fight for Carolina. I'm pretty torn on this one, man. I have no idea who to pick.
I think I like Kowalkiewicz here. And you touched on it, she likes to controlling tempo and pace is a big part of Karolina Kowalkiewicz's game. And nobody's going to outpace Jessica Andrade is part of the issue. I do think Kowalkiewicz can outpace and just kind of outwork and out physical Michelle Waterson. Waterson might surprise her on the mat. I've never been super impressed with Michelle Waterson's ground game, but she is hyper aggressive when it hits the mat.
See, I am, man, and I was surprised because she was able to get a couple takedowns off on Courtney Casey and Felice Herrig, who are both bigger, stronger, more physical ladies, and that really impressed me with Waterson. So against Carolina, who I don't see as like a physical specimen, she's more of a technician. I think that her ground game and her takedowns may play a big part in this matchup.
Yeah. And that's where I'm torn. I think Michelle Waterson overall is more skilled, actually. I don't even think of Carolina as necessarily a technician, as she's just in the clinch, she is very technical, but elsewhere she's just really kind of overwhelms women with pace and output. And I guess that's why I'm picking Kowalkiewicz, just because we've seen Waterson kind of get overwhelmed from time to time with pace and output. But Waterson has been around the game for so long. I guess both these women really have, but Waterson in particular has, I think, a deeper skill set. But for me, I see Kowalkiewicz outworking her like in the clinch, generally avoiding takedowns if Waterson goes for them, and edging a decision here.
I am going to go the opposite. I'm going to go with Michelle Waterson by decision. I think she's actually going to be able to take Kowalkiewicz down when she needs to and navigate to her back once or twice, threaten. I don't think she's going to finish, but I'm going with Waterson close. Again, I could see Carolina winning this fight. I don't have a strong read on it. Should be a fun one though.
Yeah, definitely a close and relevant fight for the division.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Anything else on this card you like? Ross Pearson's fighting Des Green. That's a tough fight, man.
Yeah.
Pearson's been around forever, dude.
Yeah. Like if you told me that he was fighting in another organization, I would believe it, sadly enough.
What if I told you Ross Pearson was only 34 years old?
What?
Holy fuck. He feels like he's like 41, dude.
Well, he was on that tough with like Dan Henderson and Michael Bisping, right?
2009 was his debut.
Holy shit. I want to know how many other guys on that show are still fighting.
Probably not that many. He beat Andre Winner in the finale. He's fought a lot of good guys too, man.
Yeah.
He's been around forever. But it's been a tough go for him lately. Taking on Des Green. Des Green's a local guy. I believe he's now in Florida, but he's from New York. I've seen him fight live a bunch. Real rangy guy with good wrestling. I got to go Des Green here. It's a tough one for
yeah, I'm for sure on
Pearson,
Des Green here. But who knows? Pearson is a super skilled boxer. It's just, I think at this point in his career, the chin is not where it used to be, and a lot of guys know how to deal with what he brings to the table.
Hey, talk about a sleeper fight. Shaman Rice for Saduki Youssef. That's a banger, man. Shaman Rice does not get enough credit. That guy is a stud. Big for the division. Only 2 losses to Zabit. Marlon Moraes, not too shabby. Taking on Saduki Youssef, who has some big power. That's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to bring that up too. Because Mr. Honky on Twitter, if any listeners don't follow him. He started putting out the Shaman Moraes gifs, and it's a violent man.
Yeah, the guy's a stud, dude. Anything else you got?
I think that's it. This is not an ESPN Plus card. It's a big ESPN card. I think it's a little bit better offering than what we've had the past few weeks. And I think, action wise, it should almost certainly deliver.
Yeah, if you want to show a casual fan a fight, show them Gaethje versus Barboza. Because if they like bloodshed and they're just bleed fan, this is going to be their wet dream. For sure.
It's going to be I'm a hardcore fan. It's still kind of my wet dream.
Yeah, exactly. So before we talk about some other crap going on in MMA, which we will get to, there is another big card this weekend, and it is from ONE FC. They, on March 31st, it looks like 3:30 p.m., but I don't know if that's Tokyo. I have no idea when this event is going to air.
I think it's
like U.S. time.
I think U.S. time, it's like 2:30 a.m. Saturday night, so Sunday morning. I think, if I have that correctly. But yeah, it's like the middle of the night between Saturday and Sunday here in the U.S.
But man, I mean, talk about a great card. The debut of both Demetrius Johnson and Eddie Alvarez, they're going to be in their respective flyweight and lightweight world Grand Prix. Obviously, I don't know much about their opponents. Looks like Demetrius Johnson is going to be taking on Yuya Wakamatsu. I mean, it doesn't matter who he's taking. DJ is one of the best fighters of all time, and it's kind of crazy to see him in another organization. But he seems happy. He seems remotivated. And Eddie Alvarez is going to be taking on Timofey Natsyukin from Russia. Eddie Alvarez, the belt collector. I mean, that guy's won belts in every single division, or I should say organization he's been in. He's going to take another stab at winning the belt in ONE FC. I'm super pumped.
Yeah, and it's a great card. Good things happening for ONE FC. That, it's a huge promotion that we don't, hardcore fans in the US follow it, but just because of when it comes on, it's not something that people pay a ton of attention to, but I think they're going to start. And could you imagine if Alvarez or DJ lose here, like how much that would kind of shock and kind of change how we view ONE FC or UFC fighters? Not that I'm saying I expect either of them to lose, but you also said, and I'm with you, I don't really know much about their opponents. Like it would be kind of wild if one of them lost. I kind of welcome it. Not that I want to see those guys lose, but it would be fun. It would be a wild time to see one of them lose.
Yeah. Also, they have 4 title fights on this card. Edward Folalang, who's a stud, taking on legend of the sport Shinya Aoki. Angela Lee, who's one of the best. If you don't know who Angela Lee is, man, she's one of the best strawweights in the world. I mean, she can compete in the UFC right now. You have Aung Lan Sang fighting Ken Hasegawa for the middleweight title. You also have Bibiano Fernandez taking on Kevin Billion. Bibiano Fernandez is a stud. He's been around forever. Really good fighter. And then the big one for me down on the card is Gary Tonin taking on Anthony Englund. Anthony Englund is a stud. That guy's a big, this is a big step up for Tonin. I'm really interested to see how he does.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Especially people in the jiu-jitsu community, super pumped. And Tonin, I feel like out of all the, like Dylan Dennis, AJ Agazarm, a lot of these grapplers that have made the transition, he seems to have looked the best in MMA so far. Like on his feet, just putting together a cohesive ground game that, blends strikes with his jiu-jitsu. Tonin has looked every bit of the top prospect that we expected him to be.
Yeah, I agree, man. Also, you can watch this card too on the ONE FC app, so download that. It's free. Card's great. Watch it, man. I mean, if you're not sold on Demetrius Johnson and Eddie Alvarez fighting in a new organization on this card, you get 4 title fights and you get Gary Tonin. Can't go wrong. ONE FC doing big things. I'm super happy that we have hopefully another big player in the MMA market, alongside Bellator and the UFC.
I definitely think so. I mean, I don't know what like the global numbers are, but they're obviously a huge player in the market.
Yeah. I mean, they signed Eddie Alvarez, Sage Northcutt, Gary Tonin chose to go with them, Demetrius Johnson, and hopefully that's not the end of it. I don't like monopolies in MMA. I like these fighters to have options, and I think one is going to be a big player and another option for these fighters.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, so I guess we should end fittingly with the possible end of Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor, let me pull this tweet up, by the way. Tweeted out the other day. I'm going to read it to you guys. I'm sure most people listening have heard of it because people that aren't in the MMA bubble have been reacting to it. But Conor McGregor put out a tweet saying, "Hey guys, quick announcement. I've decided to retire from the sport formerly known as mixed martial art today. I wish all my old colleagues well going forward in competition. I now join my former partners on this venture already in retirement. Proper pina coladas on me, fellas." What are your thoughts on Conor's supposed retirement?
Well, I think that's kind of half the story, because my immediate thoughts when I saw the tweet, he's done this before with the Thanks for the cheese, catch you later. That was like 2 years ago. And then he came back and put on a couple of the biggest fights the UFC has ever put on. So my immediate reaction was like, absolutely, this is just a negotiation tactic. And even, I still even thought that when I think Brett Okamoto put out a text from Dana White, and Dana White said, "Oh, I wish him the best of luck." All of that seemed just like they are negotiating, because we know McGregor has not been quiet about his desire to have an ownership stake in the UFC, which I don't know if he's earned that or not. It definitely feels like it, because he's far and away the biggest star the UFC has right now. So I just thought immediately, I kind of rolled my eyes and thought, this is just a negotiation tactic. Like, I had friends that are, I wouldn't even call them casual MMA fans. They're just aware of Conor McGregor, texting me about it. And I said, just relax. He's probably going to fight in July still. But then I think the other half of the story, right, is we had heard rumors coming out of Ireland months ago about, allegations of sexual assault against Conor McGregor. And then those were kind of solidified, at least for North American people in North America, when the New York Times put out a news story saying that McGregor's being investigated. He has not been charged with a crime, but they're confirming that he's being investigated for allegations of sexual assault. So it kind of feels, and of course McGregor's people denied that his retirement has anything to do with this, but where there's smoke, there's fire. It kind of feels like the timing here seemed very, very suspect, that maybe McGregor knew the Times was going to run this story later in the day, so he put out this tweet saying he retired. I don't really know what to make of it. Here's what I do think, though. I think unless he gets convicted of a very serious crime, which, God, I hope is not the case for a variety of reasons, but unless he gets convicted of a serious crime and goes away for a long time, I don't think we're going to be done with Conor McGregor. I think he's leaving money on the table if he retires. And yes, he has other business ventures with the whiskey and his clothing line and whatnot. He has tons of other ways to make money. But Conor McGregor doesn't seem like the type of guy that is okay with making just a little bit of money. Like, he's going to be leaving money on the table if he quits fighting. I don't think he wants to do that. I think this was just a negotiation tactic. I don't know there's tons of questions about his legal situation, but unless he's convicted of a very serious crime, I'm sure he's going to fight again.
Yeah, that was pretty much my 2 points, or my 2 takes on this. I kind of lean towards the former. I mean, Conor is a genius, right? The guy is so smart. He's such a savvy businessman. I think he knew that this story was going to come out. And I think he wanted to take a little bit of heat off himself. So what better way than to announce a retirement the day before this story drops? It gets everybody talking about Conor and his career and blah, 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 blah. And it takes a little bit of focus off of these serious allegations that are against him. And again, I don't know the details behind it. I don't know what's going to happen to Conor. It also could be, like you said, a business tactic. Conor might be in negotiations for a fight and he may not be getting what he wants. So what better way to get what he wants than to say, all right, I'm going to walk away. They know he's not going to walk away, but they also need to meet him somewhere in the middle, or somewhere towards what favors him. So I don't know. I think, it could be a bit of both, honestly. But I definitely don't think that this is the last time we're going to see Conor fighting. I would not be surprised. In fact, I think he's still going to fight this year. Like you said, he did it a couple years ago with Thanks for the Cheese. Something's going on with him, but I don't think it's the retirement of Conor McGregor.
Yeah. Like I said, before the Times came out with this story about potential sexual abuse or assault allegations, I was convinced he's still going to fight in July. That still might be the case. Like, I don't know. I know very little, obviously, about like the Irish criminal justice system, or how quickly it moves, or what he can do or not do while he's under investigation. But he hasn't even been arrested or charged with a crime, I believe. So I don't know. I hope that there's nothing to the allegations. But even then, like, fucking Mike Tyson went to prison for like 3 years for rape, and then came back and was still a star. Times have changed since then, but even if he gets convicted, or, even if these allegations are true, like, don't write off seeing Conor McGregor in a cage. We got fucking Greg Hardy co-maining event here coming up soon, so who knows?
Yeah. And that's another thing we should talk about, man. Greg Hardy apparently is going to be co-main the Florida event. How stupid is UFC, man? I mean, that first Greg Hardy, that was a co-main event too, right?
Yeah, and it was a disaster.
A fucking disaster. A disaster. We talked about how they might get out of the Greg Hardy business, and they're fucking putting him in another co-main event. It's so stupid. What do you really think this is going to go much better? I mean, I guess it could, because there's not much lower than that debacle. But dude, come on.
Yeah, it's not only was against the UFC signing him at all for just due to his past. So it's not even just that. It's that in the cage during the fight, he did not look at all prepared for that level of competition. Maybe he gets the win, maybe he doesn't, but putting him in another co-main event when he just looks so far out of his element just seems so tone deaf. Like, is he bringing in huge numbers or anything? Like, I don't fucking get it.
That was the thing. Like, I don't think the numbers were even that great to where it was like, all right, we have to put him on again. Yeah, dude, I don't know, man.
Well,
I have no idea. It makes no sense, though.
Well, a lot of stuff doesn't seem to make sense, but this move in particular, and he's on the fucking poster again. It's like, why is the UFC pushing this guy who a lot of people detest because of his domestic abuse conviction, and B, does not look prepared at all for this level of competition?
Yeah, I agree, man. It's weird. Tone deaf is a great word for it, man. I don't know. I can only hope for disaster for the UFC. I think that's what they get. Not disaster where I hope like anybody gets hurt or anything, but I hope it's just a big flop again. Because that's what they get. And again, like, I have no problem with Greg Hardy fighting necessarily and trying to clean up his image, but like fighting at this level when he, besides his past, like you said, just doesn't deserve to be at this level. I just hope for disaster.
Oh, we might see it. Who's his opponent? Like Dmitry Smolyakov? Like, maybe this guy will fucking turn his lights out. Who knows? But then don't be surprised if the UFC gives him another like kind of high level fight, because they seem dead set on making Greg Hardy happen.
Yeah, it's all money, all fucking money. Hey man, last thing, let me just get your take on this before we wrap up, because I think we covered everything. Jacare Souza is going to be main eventing that card against Yoel Romero. Rematch that happened in... Ooh, when did that happen? That happened at UFC 194 in 2015. Razor thin decision for Yoel Romero. Jacare Souza has said if he wins this fight and does not get a title fight, he's going to retire. What do you think about that statement?
I mean, I think it makes sense and it's smart. I don't know if he'll stick to it. I guess I don't know a ton about Jacare's personality, but I think that's a smart business move for him to say, I'm gonna quit if you guys don't give me what I deserve. And it would be hard to deny him a title shot. I don't know where the division will be after this whole like Gastelum, Adesanya, Whitaker kind of love triangle sorts itself out. But you beat Yoel Romero, the guy who took the champ very close in 2 fights. If you beat Yoel Romero, then I agree that he deserves a title shot coming off of that. However, this is a very tough fight for him still.
Yeah, I mean, the guy had a 8-fight win streak going into that first Romero fight. He's 39 years old. He's deserved a shot for a long time. I agree, man. I hope he gets it if he does beat Romero. And I wouldn't be surprised, man, if he does call it quits after that. Because, I mean, what's left? If he's not going to get a title shot, he's going on 40 years old. If he does win, he just beat Yoel Romero. I would find it hard to believe that the UFC does not give him a title shot if he wins this, but I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, don't count on anything in the UFC matchmaking nowadays.
That is very true. Other than that, man, I don't think I got anything. I think we pretty much covered everything going on, right?
Yeah, I think that's the big news. UFC's last week, UFC coming up this week, ONE FC. Keep following Conor McGregor news, because I'm sure more details will leak in the coming weeks.
Yeah, you might even get a Conor McGregor fight announcement in the coming weeks. Who knows?
Yeah, fingers crossed.
You never know, man. Anyways, thank you guys for listening. Follow us on, we're everywhere. Google Play, iTunes, CombatDocket.com, Spotify.
YouTube.
What else did I miss? YouTube. We're everywhere. Give us a follow. Give us a like. Give us a review. Enjoy the fights this weekend, and we'll talk to you all next week.